Hello, welcome to my talk. I'm here in the airport in Denver, Colorado. Today is 21st of November 2025. I've arrived several hours ago from Atlanta, Georgia, where I was attending a conference of the African Studies Association. This is the largest association of African studies in the world. It brings together scholars and teachers, publishers, writers, students in the field of African studies, anthropologists and historians and linguists and political scientists and people studying the environment and archaeology, all kinds of disciplines. I had been invited as one of the panelists for a panel on storytelling, African storytelling, and our papers are projected to form a book, to be published maybe not very long from now. So we were sharing ideas. There were 4 of us on the panel. We shared our papers before the conference, and the aim is to critique one another and revise the papers. We hope we will be able to produce a volume. It's not guaranteed yet, but it was a very good experience, listening to one another. And my own focus was on researching folk tales, recording folk tales rather. And I based myself on my experience of recording tales in the 70s that produced the book called Matengo Folk Tales. And I had a copy that I showed the audience and fellow presenters. I explained the challenges of recording these tales. And I said, when we see a book of folk tales, we never really think about the hard work that went into the production of that book, the genesis of the research project, the tricks and challenges of finding informants or storytellers, the challenges of getting them to accept the project, to embrace the project, the problem of establishing rapport, overcoming skepticism, fear, maybe hostility. A researcher goes through all these things. And then there are ethical questions. You collect, stories, you record stories rather, and you need to make decisions, what kind of stories you record, whether you can publish them. Not everything you record is for public consumption. People trust you with their stories. You have to use your judgment, whether to share those stories with the world. So I went into all these details and the problem of translation, transcription, translation. It can be a nightmare. That was a great opportunity for me to reflect on my experience as a folklorist. And the people were delighted to hear that this book of mine, Matengo Folk Tales, made headlines on 23rd of November in the year 2017, when it got featured on a famous American TV show called Jeopardy. In fact, I have a copy here. Let me pull it out of my bag so I can show you. Oops, I need to bend and look into my bag here. Where is it? Yeah, here is the book, Matengo Folk Tales. Yeah, I showed this to the audience and they were quite delighted. Why not? Jeopardy is a very famous American TV show. So I had the opportunity to comment on the papers of other presenters. There was a paper on writing as an imperialistic act, and how we can turn tables around and use writing as a means of emancipation of the Africans and the African mind. There was a paper on the dynamics, the evolution of Yoruba storytelling from the olden days when it was all oral to more contemporary times when other formats, other media and modalities have come, such as digital storytelling. So there were a whole bunch of interesting conversations around that. The conference, as usual, brings together all kinds of people. Some I know, I was able to meet old friends, people I had known, in Dar es Salaam University when I was a student there from the early 70s. People that I've known afterwards, in other parts of the world, like the University of Wisconsin-Madison. In fact, the professor that gave the keynote speech, Professor Elizabeth Schmidt, she's an American. We were students together in the graduate school in Madison, Wisconsin. She was studying history, African history, and I was in the field of African languages and literature. We were friends, and it was just very nice to listen to her now as president of the African Studies Association. I met the famous poet from Kenya, the famous Swahili poet and activist, Abdulatif Abdallah, and he gave me his books. He had carried his books and he gave me two of them. Again, let me show them. I have them here in my bag. Very, very interesting, very insightful books. This one is poetry, old poets of Pemba in Tanzania. It's called Kale ya Washairi wa Pemba, Kamange na Sarahani. I've not read this book yet, but he gave me this book as a gift, and we sat together, joked about the days we were together at the University of Dar es Salaam. He gave me this book as well, which I read on the flight from Atlanta to Denver. A remarkable book. Yes, many essays by various scholars and writers, essays on the work that Abdulatif Abdallah has done in poetry, political activism, his theories about writing and so on. There are also some of his own writings in this book. Some of them I had never even heard about. Some of them I had heard about but had never read. For example, his very famous publication called Kenya Tuendapi. This is the publication that got the young Abdulatif Abdallah arrested, charged, and imprisoned in Kenya. He was in solitary confinement for 3 years because of that little pamphlet. And it is contained in this book, a very powerful statement of rejecting oppression and political corruption. And he was speaking from the heart and saying, he would never, yield to pressure, to stop advocating for justice. In fact, reading this book, reading some of the writings of Abdulatif Abdallah in this book, for example, the poems in which he says, I hold on to whatever I believe in, no matter what. There's a poem like that. And now in this book, there's a little essay he wrote in which I found some very interesting insight into why he has this position in his poetry. He cites the Quran, and he cites the story of Yusuf in the Quran. And he says categorically, if there's something you really believe in, and it's the truth according to your understanding, no force should be able to push you out of, that position. Intimidation, threats, they just don't work. So he takes it in a very religious sense. And with that passage in that essay, you get to understand why he remains and he remained, unmoved, undefeated, undaunted in the face of persecution and threats. It's truly admirable to read those testimonies and to understand Abdulatif, better. We used to joke together at the University of Dar es Salaam when I was an undergraduate student there, starting in 1973, and he was already in exile after he was freed from prison in Kenya. He came to Tanzania in 1970 and was there already when I came there. And we got to know each other, we were friends. So this time in the conference in Atlanta, we had hours of being together. We went for dinner with some other friends. It was a great reunion. So this has been a very pleasant, a very rewarding conference for me. And my flight, I missed my flight in the morning today. But I was able to be put on another flight this afternoon. And I'm here in Denver for a few hours. I will depart in the evening for Minneapolis. Again, it was a very worthwhile experience. I left the conference early. It's still going on today, 21st. It will continue tomorrow, 22nd. The reason I left early is that tomorrow, Saturday, at noon, I'll be speaking at a library in Minneapolis. My topic will be African storytelling. No, it's not a library, it's a bookstore. It's called Strive Bookstore in Minneapolis. It's a black-owned bookstore, and I have gotten in touch with the owner, Mary. She seemed very interested in my work. She asked for my books, and so she has them in the store. 3 books of mine, actually. Africans and Americans Embracing Cultural Differences, Chickens in the Bus, and Matengo Folktales. Africans and Americans, let me go back into my bag again and pull out those books. Just a second here. Okay. This one here, Africans and Americans Embracing Cultural Differences. You can buy it in that bookstore now, Strive Bookstore. I will write the address of this bookstore, just look at the text below this video, and here's the chickens book. They are all there in the bookstore. Chickens in the Bus, more thoughts on cultural differences. So tomorrow at noon, November 22nd, I'll be speaking there. The topic is African storytelling. I can hardly wait, and I'm always excited when I have the opportunity to share the African heritage, of which I'm very proud. And so that's why I'm here in Denver now, having left the conference early so I can be on time for this lecture tomorrow. Well, I thought I should broadcast this little speech, if I may call it that, from the airport in Denver, Colorado. I have been here before, long ago. I think it was 2007 or 2008. I was going to Colorado Springs. I was going to teach at that college. I taught a course on the trickster, the hero and the trickster. I was fascinated by the idea of teaching a whole course in just 3 weeks. They call it a block system. Some colleges have a semester system. Colorado College has a block system. I was curious about it, and I proposed a course, and it was accepted. So I flew from Minneapolis to Denver, and then the short distance from here to Colorado Springs. So my being here brings back some of those memories. I'll stop here, and I wish you all the best. Bye.